Anselmo was a simple man from the countryside of Brazil, known in the small town where he lived for his gentle speech and humble demeanor. At 55 years old, his body bore the marks of the strong sun and many days spent working in the fields, but his soul held an old dream he had never abandoned. He lived in a modest house, surrounded by land he had cultivated with effort since he was young. His daily routine was full of hard work, getting up early, facing the heat and dust of the countryside, but also a rare tranquility. Despite the financial difficulties he faced throughout his life, Anselmo never lost hope nor his simplicity. On that clear day, he decided to go into town to try to fulfill a plan he had been nurturing for over 30 years, a dream that seemed distant but was about to become real. When Anselmo entered the dealership, his crooked straw hat, simple clothes and worn backpack caught attention, but not for the right reasons. The salesman exchanged glances and mocking smiles, judging the man by what they saw on the surface. Dusty and with a face marked by time, he seemed out of place in that modern environment where the luxury and shine of the cars contrasted with his simplicity. But it was Gabriel, a young salesman, who broke that hostile atmosphere. Unlike the others, he listened patiently and respectfully to the farmer's doubts and needs, treating each question with genuine attention. Gradually, Anselmo's story began to unfold, surprising even the most skeptical. During the conversation, Anselmo explained that he was there to buy 7 pickup trucks, something that left everyone at the dealership stunned. To them, it seemed impossible that a simple man like him could afford such a large outright purchase. Gabriel, however, maintained a respectful posture and asked him to tell more. That's when Anselmo revealed the reason behind the purchase. It was a promise he had carried in his heart for 30 years, a gesture of gratitude to his old friends, comrades in struggle and life, who had helped him through the hardest moments. His voice, calm and steady, conveyed the weight of this story, and the atmosphere, once heavy with suspicion, slowly began to change. As negotiations progressed, the store manager asked to see documents and proof, still incredulous, as if trying to confirm that all of this was just a mistake. Anselmo then presented solid bank documents and a letter of recommendation that spoke of his reputation and credibility. He was in fact one of the largest producers in the region, owner of lands spread across several municipalities. But what really impressed was the humility with which he spoke of his journey. He never let success change who he was. That man who seemed so simple carried a silent strength built from years of work, honesty, and loyalty. The following Saturday, Gabriel accepted Anselmo's invitation to visit his farm. The dirt road leading there was lined with trees and vast fields, the air pure and full of the smell of wet earth. Upon arrival, Gabriel saw a scene he would never forget. 7 pickup trucks lined up, shining under the sun, contrasting with the simplicity of the place. Anselmo began to show him around, but what caught attention was the way he spoke about his old companions, men who had shared with him difficult nights, scarcity, and hard work. Calmly, the farmer began to explain that each pickup truck would be a gift, a form of recognition and gratitude for those who had never abandoned him. Accompanying Anselmo, Gabriel watched the man visit one by one his lifelong friends. Simple people, many already sick or living in precarious conditions, received the gift with surprise and emotion. Some could not believe the gesture, others had tears in their eyes. That silent act by Anselmo of sharing what he had achieved spoke louder than any speech. It was a deep and true thankfulness, a recognition of the importance of friendship, solidarity, and mutual respect. Gabriel, moved, discreetly recorded everything, knowing that this story needed to be told. After visiting all the friends, Anselmo and Gabriel returned to town. The young salesman carried in his heart a mix of emotion and admiration, something he had not expected to find on that ordinary day. By discreetly sharing the video he had recorded, the story quickly began to circulate on social media. winning hearts and impressing many. The news spread fast, and the very dealership that had treated him dismissively became the stage for an unexpected repercussion. For the salesman, it was a reality shock. The simple man they had ignored had a much greater story than they had imagined. Pressured by the repercussion, the dealership manager invited Anselmo for a tribute, trying to repair the store's image. But even in the spotlight, Anselmo preferred not to accept public applause. For him, the greater gesture had already been made and recognized where it truly mattered. The only one who received. His sincere gratitude was Gabriel, the salesman who from the start had treated him with dignity and respect. At that moment, Anselmo left a simple but powerful lesson. One must never judge someone by appearance, because true value lies in the heart and story of each person. A few days later, Gabriel went to visit Anselmo at his farm, wanting to better understand the story of the man who had taught him so much in a few hours. They sat under an old tree, whose branches offered shade and tranquility. There, amidst simple words, Anselmo spoke about the life he had led, the sacrifices he had faced, and the importance of the people who never abandoned him. He said he never wanted to be rich for himself, but rather to be able to give back to those who had always been by his side in good times and bad. That gesture of the pickup trucks was a symbol, a silent but open-hearted thank you. Gabriel listened attentively, feeling the strength of that message. Anselmo explained that for him success was not having money or possessions, but maintaining loyalty and humility even when life improves. He said that many times he felt like giving up, but it was the support of friends and hard work that kept him steady. That day, Gabriel realized that Anselmo's story was about values that seem simple but are rare today. It was a lesson about gratitude, respect, and the true meaning of wealth. That quiet afternoon, Anselmo told Gabriel about the difficulties he faced since youth. He grew up in a humble family, where money was never plentiful, and the routine was marked by hard work and few opportunities. He recalled sleepless nights, harvests almost lost due to lack of equipment, and the friends who stood by his side even when everything seemed too difficult. These memories, full of pain and overcoming, showed the origin of that promise he had carried in his heart for so long. The purchase of the pickup trucks was much more than an investment. It was a tribute to those bonds that had supported him. Gabriel realized that the man before him was not just a successful farmer, but a guardian of the memory and dignity of an entire generation. Anselmo spoke with emotion about the importance of never forgetting where you came from and how the true value of life lies in recognizing and honoring those who walked alongside you. That moment under the tree was a lesson in humanity for Gabriel, who understood that stories like this deserve to be told to inspire and remind people what really matters. Anselmo also spoke about the loneliness that often accompanies success in the countryside. He revealed that, despite his achievements, he saw friends drift away when life got harder or when he had nothing to offer yet. This experience strengthened in him the importance of true friendship, that which withstands time, scarcity, and difficulties. The purchase of the pickup trucks was, for him, a way to recognize those who stayed by his side without interests or expectations, only loyalty and affection. Gabriel listened to everything carefully, feeling how those simple words carried enormous strength. It was a story about respect, gratitude, and humanity that touched far beyond business and appearances. More than a material gift, the pickup trucks represented for Anselmo a silent justice, a way to dignify those who had always stood by his side. He knew many of those men lived in difficult conditions, without resources and often forgotten by society. That gesture was not only for them, but to tell a story of resistance and solidarity, where what matters is not what you have, but what you do for others. Gabriel felt he was witnessing something rare, a true lesson in life, humility and generosity. In the days that followed, The repercussion of Anselmo's story only grew. People from the town and even from other regions began sharing the video and talking about the farmer's gesture. What caught the most attention was not just the value of the purchase, but the sincerity and humanity behind it. Many began to see beyond appearance and reflect on how we judge others without knowing their stories. Anselmo's story touched many consciences, showing that true success has to do with recognition, gratitude, and respect. Gabriel, in turn, felt honored to be part of that moment and to have helped give voice to such a genuine and touching story. Anselmo continued his routine on the farm, but with the satisfaction of having achieved something much greater than he imagined. For him, the pickup trucks were not just vehicles, but living symbols of what he valued: friendship and loyalty. Amidst the simplicity of the countryside, he knew he had left a legacy that transcended the material. Gabriel, when visiting Anselmo, noticed that the man had an inner peace built over years of struggle and solid values. He was a living reminder that true wealth lies in what we carry in our hearts, not in what we accumulate. That afternoon, while talking under the shade of the big tree, Anselmo reflected on the meaning of respect in life. He told Gabriel that for many years he was seen only as a simple man and even ignored by those who judged him just by his appearance. This experience taught him a valuable lesson. True respect does not depend on money or social status, but on the dignity with which we treat one another. The gesture of the pickup trucks, for him, was a way to return the trust and affection he received from people who never abandoned him, even when everything was difficult. Gabriel realized that this story, although unique, carried a universal message: that humanity is in the small acts, in the silent gestures that make all the difference. Anselmo also spoke about the power of stories and memory. He said life is made of moments, of people who cross our paths and leave marks that never fade. By gifting his friends, he was not just giving trucks, but celebrating bonds that resisted time and adversity. That silent celebration for him was the purest form of gratitude. Gabriel understood that that visit had changed his view of success, value, and especially what really matters in life. Inspired by Anselmo's humility and strength, Gabriel began sharing the story with friends and family, feeling it needed to reach more people. He realized that many times we fail to value those by our side due to quick judgments and superficial prejudices. The farmer's example showed that great lessons come from where we least expect, and that true greatness lies in recognizing and honoring the people who made a difference in our lives. For Gabriel, that story was a reminder that kindness and respect transform relationships and can change the world, even if silently. With every conversation, he saw how Anselmo's account touched hearts and inspired more humane attitudes. In turn, Anselmo continued living his simple routine, but now with the certainty that his gesture had crossed boundaries. He did not seek public recognition, but knew he had planted an important seed, the seed of respect, gratitude, and appreciation for ordinary people, those often forgotten. For him, true wealth was in the ability to remember and thank, even when no one is watching. The story born that day teaches that the greatest gift is love and sincere recognition for those who walked with us through life's journey. In the end, Anselmo did not need spotlights or applause to feel that he had fulfilled his mission. The silent gratitude he carried in his heart found expression in that simple but meaningful gesture. The pickup trucks, more than vehicles, became living symbols of respect, friendship, and loyalty, values that for him were much more important than any material wealth. Gabriel saw in that man a quiet strength, proof that the greatest lessons come from humble hearts, and that true greatness is in recognizing others regardless of appearance or status. What seemed like a simple purchase turned into a life story that touched many people, reminding us all that we carry stories worth telling and respecting. Anselmo left a message that echoes beyond that small town. One should never judge a book by its cover, for behind every person there is a deep and valuable story. The true distance between people is not in possessions, but in the respect and dignity we have for one another. He showed that success is not in what we conquer alone, but in the connections we build along the way. This is a simple lesson, but one that transforms lives, and that is exactly what Anselmo, with his ordinary and extraordinary life, taught us.